how to move the pieces. So first we are going to see about the rook, how it will move.
Are you wondering why chess is more exciting than checkers? Well, for one thing, some of the chess pieces can move a lot farther.
First see this video and understand, and I will again explain it, okay? And you will take a test. So this app is Chess Kid, okay? This is for beginners, or we can also say fresh beginners. I will not say beginners, fresh beginners, because beginners, I think little bit they know. This is for fresh beginners, okay? So fresh beginners should only attend this video, okay? So we are going to see the video.
Than they can in checkers. Today, you get to be a rook. But wait a minute, I want to be a fireman. Okay, you can be a fireman later in life, but today, I just want you to be a rook. The rook.
And this is also environment. It is also funny, okay? So you can see it jolly. So I'm putting this video, okay? So that you can study also, okay? So now you're going to study this.
Can move in 4 different directions. The rook can go up. The rook can go down. The rook can go left. The rook can go right. And for any of you kids out there that like to read maps, that would be north, south, east, and west. The rook has lots of choices here. The rook can go just a little bit or all the way to the edge of the chessboard. So, my rook can move up 1, that's possible, or all the way to the edge of the board, or the rook could have stopped somewhere in between. For example, the rook could have gone up 2 squares, or even gone up 3 squares. It would have been your choice. Of course, you can't go off the edge of the chessboard. That would be crazy. In this position, I want you to try to count how many different squares the rook can move to. What number did you get? Well, if you got the answer 14, you are on the way to being a chess master. Let's count together. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's go down. 5, 6, and 7. But we're not done.
So how much squares will the rook control? They said. Can you guess it? Please put in the comment.
We can go left 8, 9, 10, and 11. To the right, 12, 13, 14. If you got more than 14, chances are you tried to count the square the rook starts on, and that doesn't really count. Are you ready for a challenge question? The rook is actually able to move to any square on the chessboard in 2 turns, no matter which one you pick. Go ahead, think of a square. Did you think of the square G7? Well, probably not. I was just guessing. But in any case, let's just start with G7 and see if you can make a plan to get there in 2 moves. Now, you might think to start by traveling to the right, but if you go all the way to the edge of the board, you're not going to be able to get to G7 on the next turn. So, let's go back and maybe find a different way to get to G7. Instead, let's go to the right, but let's stop after only 2 squares. And if we do that, on our next turn, we can travel forward and land on the red square. Was there another way to get to G7? Well, there was. I'm sure you found it. The rook could go forward and stop on the square E7, and then to the right and land on G7. Notice how I'm naming squares. I'm using the letter first and the number second. This square is G7 because it sits on the G file. That's what we call up and down rows, files. And the square also sits on rank number 7. That's what we call side-to-side rows. We call them ranks. The rook had 2 different ways to get to G7. Go ahead, try any other square on the board, and then see if you can figure out a way for the rook to get there in 2 moves. We'll do one more together. How about A6? Do you see a way to get there in 2 moves? Well, we can go left all the way to the edge of the board, and then on the next turn, the rook could travel up and land on A6. Let's go back. Of course, the other way was to go forward but stop after only 2 squares, and then go to the left, and again we land on A6. The final thing that I want you to learn about rooks, before you become firemen that is how the rook is able to capture. It's actually very simple. The rook acts a little bit like a bowling ball and runs over the enemy piece. Let's see that in action. Here I gave black 2 rooks, and white only has 1, but that's okay. We're about to do a couple of captures. These 2 black rooks are on the same file, the B file. Let's have the rook on B7.
So we are seeing meet the rook. Okay, so in this lesson you will learn you will practice moving and capturing with the rook. Have you understand what I said? We will capture and move also. Okay, so you are going to learn about this one. Now they have teach how to move the rook, and now we are going to see how to capture with the rook.
Travel down the board and land on the square B4. Now these 2 rooks are aiming at each other. It's like a game of flashlight tag. But using my bowling ball idea, here comes the white rook. The white rook travels all the way over, and when the white rook runs into a black piece, he can knock it over, or in this case, take it off the board. But the rook has to stop. You don't jump over the black rook, and you certainly don't keep going. Once you capture an enemy piece in chess, you always have to stop. You can never capture 2 pieces at once. Now it's black's turn. Do you see a way that black could capture back the white rook? Well, of course. This black rook could travel up the board, run over the white rook, and then he has to leave the chessboard. You just saw your very first example of a trade. Each side got a rook. Let's review what we learned today. First of all,
so this is straight. Now we are going to see again all the topics.
Rooks can go up and down, left and right. They can go as far as they want to, and they're able to capture it by running into the enemy piece and taking that piece off the board. We didn't learn how to become a fireman. Maybe we'll do that in our next lesson. Maybe not.
Now, so shall we now take the test? I know you have attended the video. Now we are going to take the test. So, rook journey 1. The rook wants to zoom to the another side of the board. Can you find a way to send the rook on d1 to the 8th rank? So you want to go to the 8th rank. They colored as red. How will you go? Can you think? Yeah, rook d8 is the answer. Correct answer. Sorry. So rook d8. So it is correct. Good job. Now it's journey 2. The rook on a8 wants to travel to h4. Can you find a path to that square in only 2 moves? They should only take 2 moves to go to this a8 rook to h4. Only 2 moves. Can you find out? It is white to play. Yeah, rook a4 is the correct answer. And the next we will go h4. Yeah. Now rook stare down. Are you looking at me? The black rook is staring at the white rook, ready to capture it. But can you capture black's rook first? So you should capture black's rook first. Okay? Yeah, rook into h4. Is this correct? Great job. Look at these rooks battling. White can capture either black rook. One capture is much stronger than the another capture. Can you find out the best move? White to play. It is white to play. Did you think? Yeah, rook into d8. Because if we take rook into a3, they will also take a rook into d1. They simply trade, right? Right? Yeah, this is trade. That will become trade. Not this is trade. That is capture. If we move that I said move, That is straight, okay? Clash of Rooks Part 2. Okay, this Clash of Rooks Part 2, okay? Both of the white rooks are lined up and working together. It is together. It's like 2 against 1. Can you find a capture that will end up winning a rook for white? Have you found anyone? Yeah, correct answer is rook into d8. And they will take rook into d8 and rook into d8. Like that, okay? So, good job. Yeah, now again, rook into d8 again. Yeah, we completed first lesson. Now we're going to see second lesson. Wait 1 second. Tonight, bishop, rook, king. So we have to see up to. Oh my goodness, how much in king? Now here's to the king. We will see up to here. Everything one, okay? No need. Everything one, no need. Okay. Now we will see the. We have meted the rook. Now we will see the. We will see the bishop. We will meet the pawn knight after, okay? We'll see the bishop. Wait. So now we are going to meet the king. No, we didn't see the video for this. Everyone already knows to know the king. They will move only 1 square, not 4. Near. Okay, that is the one. King wants to climb to a8 in just 2 moves. Can you find out? Can you find the first move on his journey? So it is right to play king b7 is correct answer. And next we need to capture the lonely rook. So have you have any idea? Yes, king into e4 is the correct answer. So king into a2. It is very easy, right? Yeah. Next, the great escape. Black's rook is threatening the white king. Find a king move that escapes the danger and captures a black piece. Can you find out? Think. Yes, king into d2 is the correct answer. Next we will see the next topic. You already know this very well. Yeah. Make the king. Next. So make the. From this, we will meet it after. Okay. Or we will meet now itself. Yeah. So, but we are going to see another app and meet. We will not see any puzzles. Okay. So this is, we are going to meet chess.com